is, like I said, the energy. Paramatma he is present in every jiva. He's present in me. He's present in you. And I recognize him as being present in every living entity. He's the one that's guiding us. I do not really have a great deal of relationship with him. I recognize he's there. I recognize it's a person. Okay? But I don't necessarily have a relationship. Okay? The third form is the form of Bhagavan, or a proper person with whom I can have a relationship. Now remember, we talked about the 5 kinds of relationship. We said Dasya, Sakhya, and so on, Vatsalya, and so on. So with Bhagavan, it is possible to have that relationship. It's not possible with the Paramatma or the Brahma. The moment you try to have a relationship with the Paramatma, you're putting him up to the Bhagavan level. In the case of Brahma, well, you don't recognize that there is a person at all. You only recognize his energy. Okay? Now, the analogy we gave there was about a train. So the example given was, assume that there is a father and 3 sons who are standing at the railway station, and they see neither of the 3 kids have actually seen the train, and they're waiting eagerly to see the train. So one of the boys sees a light coming from far, and he hears the sound of the whistle, and he goes running to his father. He says, I know what the train, I see the train, I see the train. The train has got lights and it's got whistles. It makes a sound and it's got light. Okay? Then the second boy is still watching, and as the train comes closer, he sees the engine. So he says, oh, I can see, Daddy, that it's got light, it's got sound, and it's also got this form of this engine. Okay? And the third boy is standing there waiting, and he sees the engine go past. He sees all the bogies. He sees the driver. He sees the passengers. He sees the whole train, and he understands, oh, this is the train. So the Bhagavan feature is like that third boy who sees the entire train. For him, Bhagavan is equal to Bhagavan plus Paramatma plus Brahman. For the boy who sees only the engine, for him, it is just Paramatma and Brahman. For the person, for the boy who only heard the light, heard the sound and saw the light, the supreme absolute truth is energy. Okay. So, now remember, Bhagavan is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. We talked about that yesterday, right? So his form is, Sat is what?
Eternal.
Eternal. Chit is knowledge. And bliss. Ananda, bliss. Okay? Yeah. So Bhagavan has Sat, Chit, Ananda, all 3 qualities. Okay. So when so Bhagavan, Paramatma, Brahman, they are the same. Like the train is the same, right? It's not that the train changed. The train is one thing, one object. It is just what the boys saw individually that was different. How they understood it was different. Okay? So, people who understand Bhagavan understand that he's got Sat, Chit, Ananda, all 3 qualities. People who understand Paramatma understand that he's got only Sat and Chit, 2 qualities. Whereas people who understand Brahman understand only the Sat quality. They understand only the eternality. They do not understand that that Brahman is also conscious, capable of having, feelings, and is a person capable of having relationships. Is this part clear? Okay. Then going forward, Hardika had a question saying we come across the phrase Aham Brahmasmi. So what does that mean? Okay. So Aham Brahmasmi. Now remember, Brahma is one feature of the Supreme Lord. Okay. Brahma is the all-pervading feature of the Supreme Lord. So when we say Aham Brahmasmi, yes, all of us are parts of that Brahma. We are Brahma, except we are tiny Brahmas and he is the Supreme Brahma. That is the difference. Okay? Yes, Niyati, you had a question?
Just quickly, I wanted to ask Mataji, with the energy source, is that I know it's different, but the soul as well, is that Brahman? Is that energy?
Okay. The soul is basically one of his Shaktis. Yes. It is also Brahman. Okay. But it is also, so we don't necessarily just say, so the soul, yes, when we say Aham Brahmasmi, we are talking about the soul, which is a small portion of the Brahman. Except the soul is not just only energy. Remember, the soul is also Satchit Ananda. Okay? It has all three qualities which belong to Bhagavan. Which is why, again, in the 15th chapter, Krishna is saying, Mamaivamsho Jivaloke, Mama Eva Amshah. Mera hi ansh hai, Jeev. Okay? The Jiva is a small part of me. So when, and then, the scriptures give us examples. It's one drop out of the mighty ocean possesses similar qualities, but the drop is not equal to the ocean. One earring, gold earring, is not equal to the gold mine. It possesses the same qualities of the gold in the gold mine, but it is not the complete gold mine. Okay, so the Lord is infinite and the Jiva is infinitesimal. The Lord is massively huge and the Jiva is really tiny. The Bhagavatam tells us, gives us actually the size of the Jiva. The size of the soul is 1 by 10,000th the size of the tip of a hair. So if you take a hair out and you stick it up straight, and then you cut the top of it 10,000 times, 1 in 10,000 of that hair is the size of your soul, the Jiva. It's that small. And the size of the Lord, well, if you look at his Virata Rupa, which is actually the manifestation of the Brahman, that is, it encompasses the entire creation. Okay, so we are that tiny and he's he's infinite. Okay, there is no covering him. No way can he be contained. Okay, whereas we are contained by this body at this stage. So when we talk in terms of reaching our potential, that potential is when we are able to get rid of this material body and come into our spiritual form. Remember, we talked about Swarupa, where you give up this material, all these material designations, material forms that you have, and you come to your spiritual form. But at that time also, you do not become God. There is always a distinct difference between the Lord and every single jiva. Okay, and this is stated by Krishna in the 4th chapter. 4, I think it is 4:12. No, not 4:12. 4:2. No, 2, 2, 2, 2, chapter 2, chapter 2. Sorry, my mistake. 2:12. It's in 2:12. He says, Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipaha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayam atha param. What does that mean? Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you did not exist, nor all these kings did not exist. And never will there be a time in future that I will not exist, or you will not exist, or all these kings will not exist. And in the 2nd chapter, Krishna is focusing on the soul. So when he's talking about you and the kings, he's talking not in terms of the body, but in terms of the souls. Okay? He says, never is there going to be a time when, we also hear about how, the jiva will go and merge into the Lord. Uh, what does that mean? Does that mean you lose your identity? Does that mean that you're gone? Because, if you take a glass of water, you pour more water into it, it's all water, right? So that means your identity is lost. Who are you? So it's not like that. He says, never was there a time when you did not exist, I did not exist. So there is not going to be a time either in the future that you are not going to exist and I'm not going to exist separately. Which means we are eternally separated, distinct individuals with our distinct characteristics. And that is where the variety of this universe comes from. Just imagine if all of us were the same, how incredibly boring that would be. So, variegatedness is what gives us what gives the world its identity. So, 1 minute, Mansi, I'll just come to you. Okay, so by saying that we merge and we lose our identity, what we are saying is, then all of us are just the same and there is no variety. In terms of spirituality, yes, we are all the same. We are all Satchit Ananda. But how do we actually manifest that Ananda? That is where the variety lies. Does it make sense? What makes me happy is different from what makes you happy, is different from what makes you happy. Okay? And whatever makes us happy. So if I, for instance, like art and you like music, that is the variety that gives this world its happiness. So each of us individually have something to contribute. Each of us definitely have something to contribute because we are individuals. Okay. Yes, Mansi. Sorry.
But I always assumed that our quest is to become one with Him
Yes.
and
So
to
what does that mean?
merge, to lose this separate identity.
Okay. Now that is propagated by certain people, yes, and that is what we discussed yesterday in terms of Advaita philosophy. Okay. Now, like I said, Advaita philosophy is, we are not going to get into that at all right now, because even to scrape the surface of that is going to take us probably about 15 hours. I looked at, I actually put down some notes about it today, and I said, nah, this is just, we're not even going to get into it. Okay. But suffice it to say that Advaita philosophy, like we said yesterday, just to fill you in, Mansi, yesterday what we also said was that a lot of the Advaita philosophy was a play on words. Okay, so the all so the Advaitins and the Vaishnavas all believe in giving their opinion on what is called the Prasthana Trayi. Okay. Prasthana Trayi includes the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutra, and the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So Advaitins also have their commentaries on the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutra, and the Bhagavad Gita. And the Vaishnavas also do that. Now, the Vaishnavas will take the most direct meaning, which is why we have Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are not trying to pull any secondary meaning. And knowing from our Sanskrit classes, Mansi, you'll realize that words can have many meanings. So, going by the tenets of Nyaya philosophy, um, Nyaya very clearly actually delineates what path needs to be followed when you are dealing with philosophy, how you prove what you believe. Okay. And if it doesn't make sense, it's not a valid school of thought. But Sanskrit being Sanskrit and the Vedanta sutras being what they are, which is cryptic statements, they can actually be twisted to give out a number of different meanings. Okay. So you have the Advaitins then saying, yes, we need to actually merge and give up our identity, and that is the only way we are going to be happy. Whereas the direct meaning, which Lord Shri Krishna also, like we've just seen here, he says, never was there a time when you were not there, I was not there. So there is no question of you merging into me and giving up your identity. Okay. And at the end, the final instruction which is given is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Sharanam means you surrender to me and we live together happily. Come and take my refuge. It does not mean come and merge into me. Okay. So the direct meaning, and at this stage, we are only going to be touching the Bhagavad Gita, because the Bhagavad Gita is the first preliminary step in understanding our philosophies. Okay. And although it is the first preliminary step, it is the all-encompassing step. It covers everything. It is the most amazingly comprehensive body of knowledge, so concisely and so clearly presented. There is no ambiguity. But even here, you will find that there are some statements, because of a wee bit of ambiguity, can be taken out of context. But there, what the acharyas tell us is read the paragraphs above, read the paragraphs below. Does it fit in with the theme? What is the title of the chapter? Does it fit in with the chapter? What is the section it's lying in? Is it in the Karma Yoga section? Is it in the Jnana Yoga section, or is it in the Bhakti Yoga section? Does it fit that theme? Does it fit the theme of what Krishna has been speaking so far? If all this while he's been talking about how the soul is separate, how the soul is separate, how the soul is separate, how it cannot be cut, how it cannot be, if the soul cannot be cut, how can it be merged into something? When the soul cannot be destroyed, it is a unit. Which means even if you talk in terms of merging, you're going to be there as you, hanging around in that whatever field it is. Does that make sense? So this whole concept of merging is actually not something which even the Advaitins talk about. It is something which has been introduced much later, and it's kind of a mishmash understanding of all the philosophies, whether it's Advaita philosophy or Vaishnava philosophy. So it's strange how that particular understanding has actually permeated the entire Indian society. You know, you go north, south, east, west, everybody's talking about merging. But it's not there. It's not borne out by any of our scriptures. Okay. Does that answer your question? Okay, thanks. Any other questions? Okay. So shall we go ahead then? Yeah. Okay. So would somebody like to read this paragraph again, the one we read yesterday? So yeah, can I have Saurabh Prabhu, would you like to read this, please?
Am I reading till the yellow?
No, Prabhuji, you're reading this whole paragraph.
Sorry, can you ask somebody else to do it? I'm just accessing this through my mobile. I'm not able to.
Okay, no
it's
worries.
very little words, very small words for me. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries. How about
it is also explained in the Gita that impersonal Brahman is also subordinate to the complete Supreme Person. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. Brahman is more explicitly explained in the Brahma Sutra to be like the rays of the sunshine. The impersonal Brahman is the shining rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Impersonal Brahman is incomplete realization of the above absolute whole, and so also is the conception of Paramatma. In the 15th chapter, it shall be seen that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushottama, is above both impersonal Brahman and the partial realization of Paramatma. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Satchidananda Vigraha. The Brahma Samhita begins in this way: Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Krishna Krishnam
Karana
Karana.
Sarva Karana Karanam.
Govinda Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the primal cause, and he is the very form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Impersonal Brahman realization is the realization of his Sat, eternity, future. Paramatma realization is the realization of Satchit, eternal knowledge, but realization of the personality of Godhead. Krishna is realization of all the transcendental future, Satchit and Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss in complete Vigraha form.
Okay. So is that clear? Prabhupada here actually uses, instead of a train, he uses the sun rays, the rays of a sun. So he says light of the sun, and actually going forward, he expands on it a little bit more as well. He says the light of the sun is the Brahman, the sun globe itself is the Paramatma, and then the sun god would be the Bhagavan. Okay. Okay. So moving ahead, Sujata Mataji, would you like to read this paragraph, please?
Sure. People with less intelligence consider the supreme truth to be impersonal, but he is a transcendental person, and this is confirmed in all Vedic literatures. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam, Katha Upanishad. As we are all individual living beings and have our individuality, the supreme absolute truth is also in the ultimate issue, a person, and realization of the personality of Godhead is realization of all the transcendental features in his complete form. The complete whole is not formless. If he is formless, or if he is less than any other thing, then he cannot be the complete whole. The complete whole must have everything within our experience and beyond our experience, otherwise it cannot be complete. Should I go ahead? The complete whole personality of Godhead has immense potencies. Parasya Saktir Vividhavya Sruyate. How Krishna is acting in different potencies is Mataji? I think it's frozen.
Yeah, I think a computer is crashed, I think, again.